Hello, Vonnie Solomon.
Hello, Michael Sameka.
What are we doing here?
What we are doing here is the last time you and I did this, it was about Bonnie Salamon.
uh
Guess what?
It's about me.
Yeah.
Okay.
You weren't supposed to guess that, but
Well, you kind of led it pretty nicely.
okay.
So, well, first off, how are you and how's it going and welcome and all of that fun
Thank you,
stuff?
thank you, thank you. It's good. Life is such an adventure. Every day is new and interesting.
Um,
And
Belated happy birthday.
thank you,
Someone had a
thank you.
birthday yesterday.
Somebody had a birthday yesterday, a very large number birthday.
That's
It's so
nothing.
interesting because when I say the number 75, I think me, 73 quarters of a century. Um, and then there's this young woman in there
Yes.
who, looks in the mirror and says, nah, not 75.
She's still quite playful.
Very, yeah, yeah. And, love to laugh and have a good time. So that brings me to laughing and having a good time because you have given me permission to do that.
Wow.
No matter what I carry, no matter how challenging, you've always encouraged a lightness of being.
Hmm.
And it's just such an honor that you would take this time to be with me and to let me speak into who you are and how you have altered my life
Wow.
and given me the tools to make all the changes so that this period in my life can be the best that it's ever been. That I've been able to lay aside a lot of things that I would not have been able to if you hadn't been there to support and assist.
Well, I'm going to play devil's advocate. What could I
Oh.
have possibly have done?
So I think there are things about you, Michael, that I don't know who else may be expressing them, but you certainly allow the allowing, which is kind of
Our first session.
our first session. You allow me to be myself. And when I say that, it includes the good, bad, and the not so attractive. But whatever I am in your presence is okay. Along with that, if what I am at that moment is less than attractive or full of angst, you have a way through, and you would teach me that way through. So, forward healing, all the wonderful things, successions, unconditional welcoming, and the idea that I can sanctify anything that's happening in my life has made it possible for me to deal with some really heavy life changes that are going on and will be with me for this last however many years I have. So it's not often that you find someone that you can so totally trust with your heart and your soul that when you find that person, it is such a gift. It's a treasure. And when I came to you originally, what are we, 8 or 9 years ago now, there was a time in my life when I was not very happy and felt that there was not a lot to look forward to. And you helped me change all that because you are what I call the divine masculine. What that means is that you represent the male of the species in a way that almost no man can do, because you are in touch with how the feminine works, how the mind of the female works, what she needs. And when you're with a client, you analyze what that person needs from you so that it's a non-judgmental environment. It's safe and it's pure and it comes from your heart. So I dare say that very few people find themselves in a situation where they get all of that in one swellfoop, being, with you as a consummate professional coach that you are. And there's always an element of love that you drop in when you're coaching so that it feels safe, it feels that you've been heard and appreciated. 8 years is just the beginning of what I believe will be my growth under your tutelage. I stayed well beyond the crisis, which I think is extremely important when you're in a coaching situation. You come in with an issue, but the greatest growth comes when you stay beyond. The issue gets resolved, you go on your way, but then you have growth. So you've given me the space to do that and the time. It's been like we haven't rushed through the change. It's not like, you have 8 weeks and you have to be the new person in 8 weeks. We've done 8 years. And so I've had the opportunity to make those changes gradually. Some of them I didn't even realize I was making. And it's been beautiful. It's been beautiful. And I can't recommend your services highly enough. And at the same time, it's not for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's not for everybody. I think people come in thinking you might fix them or that you might judge them. And it's none of those things. So I'm so grateful and thrilled to have you in my life and know that you're always there and you got my back. Oh.
It's hard to hear all this. I got to be honest with you, to tell you the truth. A lot of it for me has to do with the fact that I honestly think this is organic. I think that anybody that knows you, that gets to know you, knows that you're exceptional. Now, do I have a gift? I must. If nobody else sees you as being exceptional, then I guess I have to claim I have a gift. I guess I have to say that, right? I think it's obvious because it's obvious to me. So I'm guessing it's obvious for a lot of people. But you make it ridiculously easy. And whatever it is that you and I have, it's definitely organic. So I agree with you that it's not for everybody because I don't think I want to take credit for you. I think that you bring a lot of you with you to the dance. And I think the reason I'm so successful with you is because of you, quite frankly. So, I mean, it is interesting for me to sit here and listen to you say that. And I do find myself just wanting to deflect and giving it back to you. And I do know that my concepts are amazing. I really do know that. I know that. I get that big time. But gosh, I mean, this has got to be more about a team effort between you and me. I mean, we're like the president of each other's fan clubs. I think that has a big part of this. I think that's why you can say safely that it's not for everybody, because I don't expect people to jive with me the way that you do or the way that I do with you. I think there's just something about us that makes it work. Now, am I downplaying it? I guess you could say I'm downplaying it, but that feels accurate. It feels honest. I mean, I'd rather, if that's what downplaying is, then so be it. I'd rather downplay because it just feels right and accurate. And, as much as I would like to be able to take the compliments or whatever you're giving out, it organically doesn't feel right. Not that I'm not worthy or that this work isn't amazing, but I do believe there's something special and magical going on between the two of us, to be quite honest with you. So,
Well, I think you talk about the work, and you almost make it sound like it's not a part of you, or it's, some kind of a download. But you have to be attuned to get whatever messages there are, to be able to and to be able to transmit them to us, to me, in the way that you do, so that they're candy coated. They're not. Sometimes you go in, maybe for therapy, and it's not like that. It's harsher and it's quicker, and this is an opportunity to be with yourself. For me, it was being with myself in a non-judgmental way, with all these different perspectives of how a situation might have turned out. How can I take this and make it something that's meaningful, that's wonderful in a way, that's going to give me lessons, that's an opportunity to expand my perspective on how I look at my life, the people in my life, the opportunities, the pitfalls, all of them, all of that can be viewed through different lenses when I'm with you, in ways that I don't organically look at them. Yeah.
I would agree with that. I do think that a lot of times what I bring is a new set of ears for somebody. And I think sometimes when they are speaking to me, I think they're actually hearing their own words with my ears. And so they have new ears just by sitting with me. I think they've gotten to know me enough. Like, what would Dr. Michael say? And they could say something and they hear it differently because they know they're talking to me, and they almost have this filter inside, which I believe that's really true. But it is that easy. I mean, I do feel that it is that easy. So here's a question. So when you're coming for a session on a Wednesday and you're driving in, what's it like? I mean, do you pack? Do you know what you want to say? Is it a surprise? I mean, what happens? And I mean, like, what happens during the course of a session for you?
So on my way, it really depends on what's been happening in my life. I may or may not come packing, as you say. Excuse me, I need to. I know you can cut that out.
I can, but I won't, because you're so charming.
Oh my gosh. So I may come with nothing. And that's when it gets really interesting. Because I'll say I have nothing, and maybe I'll come up with a question, or you'll come up with a question, and then the session's over. Before we know it, it's like that. So it just depends. If I've had some issues or some challenges or some joys that I want to share, that's what I'll lead with. But otherwise, we just go. And those are very rich. Those are very enriching sessions, because we go where no man has gone before. And those are really fun. And before we know it, the time is up.
Yeah, I do feel that. If you can ask me anything, what would you ask me? I mean, especially while this is happening and we're filming this, like, is there anything that you'd like to lead me to as far as a question or something that...
Well, give me a minute.
Take as much time as you need. Oh, the light just went on. That's fun. I love how that you didn't need much time. All of a sudden, boom.
How do you prepare for someone coming in? Now, they may be very different personalities, because obviously you work with very different personalities. How do you prepare?
Well, first I'm packing the unconditional welcoming because there are many different versions that people are packing. So I never really know which one's going to show up, you know. Could be oi and it could be hi, you know. There's so many different ones, but I do actually check in, and it's almost like looking over notes, but I don't really write notes. So I really look over, like, what would love do now? For instance, one of those questions, like, how can I show up in a way that's new? You know, what can I bring to this that maybe I might be missing? You know, I'll ask myself questions like that that force me to go to new places and to see somebody in a new way and almost surprise them with the welcoming, like I do with you. I really enjoy. You have no idea what you're walking into or how you're going to be welcomed. You know it's going to be awesome. You know that, but you don't know what it's going to look like. But I think that's how I prepare. It's like, and I've shared that with you. I've said, do you have any idea what it's like to get ready for you? Which is really true, because I mean, it makes some interesting inquiries. But I think the fact that I would give myself permission to really be in an inquiry before a session that I might think would be impactful, endearing. That's a big word for me. What would be endearing? I'm really good at coming up with an answer. Now, whether it's right or not, you know, we'll see. But I don't have a difficult time in coming up with an answer of what would be endearing, what would be thoughtful. And it's my opportunity to see how well do I know the person that I'm working with. Because if I'm going to be successful, I'm going to have to know them pretty well. And so I'm almost held accountable to see if I can knock it out of the park or not. And if I knock it out of the park, then I feel pretty good because I know the torchbearer. And if I know the torchbearer, I might be able to help that torchbearer pass the torch to their greater self, you know?
That's awesome. And I love that. People will say to me, well, when you brought that problem to Michael, what did he tell you to do? I said, no. He doesn't tell me what to do. He tells me how I might view it so that I can decide what to do.
That's beautiful.
And that's really an amazing gift. It's kind of like that. If you give someone fish, they eat, but if you teach them to fish, they have a lifetime of work. So I think it's the same thing, that you could easily, because of where you sit, you can so well see probably what would be in my best interest to do, but that's not what you present. What you present is a way for me to look at this so I can make a decision that I can feel good about. So there's a big difference.
I have to tell you, I've shared this with you before, but this is one of the reasons why I think that you and I work well together, is that I think you can present me in ways that I would never present myself. And I mean, I could, but it's not even on my radar for me to present myself the way that you present me. So I'm actually enjoying this a lot. And even though I'm, wonky on the inside, I am learning quite a lot, believe it or not. Like,
good.
what would you say to somebody when somebody, if because you've sent so many people to me?
Yes, I have.
What do you say? I mean, like, how do you even word it? Is it like no questions asked, just see this guy and they just believe you and so that's it? Like, because it's Bonnie, just trust me, go see him. Is that it? Or is there something else? And I want to be a fly on the wall. I want to be around to hear that conversation.
So it would depend on the person, but for someone who has known me a long time, look at how I've changed. And that speaks for itself. If it's somebody new, I talk about how you have helped me change my life so that I'm at peace with the things that are happening. That you have taught me how to sanctify and bless everything that comes into my life. And when people hear that, a light goes on. Because I think most people, that's what they want. They want to be at peace. They want to find happiness in each day. And that's what you give me. The ability to, and I have to say, this is the biggest of all the teachings, is to sanctify whatever is happening in my life.
That's beautiful. And honestly, I really do believe that that's a natural consequence of me truly believing, honestly, sincerely, deeply, profoundly, that everything is happening for a reason and a purpose, meaning it's happening for you, not to you. If I lose sight of that, I lose sight of me being a support system. But if I really come from that place, then I am encouraging people to sanctify, to be able to attribute a purpose, even if they might be wrong, but at least to consider that there is one, because there is one. And I think a lot of times when people come in and they're challenged, they're not in a place where they can even consider organically alone by themselves that there may be a purpose, or that it's happening for them, not to them. And I think that so runs in the background for me that helps a lot. That I could never turn my back on that, or forget, or do anything that would make it look like that wasn't part of me, that sanctification part. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what happens. I think that's the set of eyes I bring to a situation. And hey, have you ever considered it like this? Have you ever considered that this could be, again, I mean, I'm repeating myself, but happening for you, that this is a thing, and how does it sound to think that this chaos can have purpose? How does it feel to you to think that what's going on and challenging you greatly is actually here to support your growth and your emergence and things of that nature? And for a lot of people, that's what we call an abrupt newness. It just gets in the way of the recursion. Oh, goodness. I felt that.
You choked me up.
Did I?
I don't know.
Wow. I heard that.
So I did want to say one more thing.
Are you okay?
I'm not
So
sure.
did I choke you up, or was it something else? Okay, I love it. We facilitated a reaction. Wow. This is what it means to be a catalyst. Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
Please take it. No, I want to hear what you're going to say. I want to say one thing.
You didn't stop it, Michael.
Don't you want to trust that? I mean, we have to sanctify the cough.
I trust you. Okay. So you asked me about what I tell people. And sometimes I'll just say to them, one of the things I learned from Michael is when I am stressed or in a situation, he'll stop me and say, well, what would love do now? People react to that so strongly because it's like a bombshell. They never would have thought to stop and say that. And the other thing is about it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. That's another one that stops people in their tracks.
Mm-hmm. The thing that I love about what would love do now, I think they really get it, that they need to be more gentle with themselves and give themselves permission to be in a process, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it makes them have a reaction to it or have a negative relationship to it or an adversarial relationship to it, to sanctify all of that. Like what would love do now? I think it helps people just be more gentle with themselves in the process, which for me puts them in a more optimal position to handle it. Like they're just functioning on all cylinders just by being gentle with themselves. So of course that's what I want to be known for, to help people function better. I mean, that's the point, right? Why would you go to a gas station, right? Your tank is empty. Okay, there you go. I mean, that's the way I look at it,
Coming from a place of love changes everything in your life. And we're in such an embattled societal situation right now that to take a step back and come to the world with love, with new love and new sense of self is the greatest gift that we can give to the world.
I agree. Oh my God. Yes. Absolutely. Yes, and yes, and more yes. I love the newness. I think that is the key. It's like we're children all over again. We don't have answers, but it's okay. We can just be in this together. And that's enough to not be alone in the process. Just to have company and somebody who's not just trying to give answers, which to me is synthetic anyway. Even if it did hit, it's still synthetic. How is it going to hold up? I mean, we don't really have answers, we just... I believe that everything that I do is about learning processes multiple different processes to find out which one might work now for you that's different than the one you're working with, and just have different vehicles for getting through this wretched life. That was sarcastic.
Ooh, that's strong.
Put the quotes in there.
Yeah.
Well, I do, because, the quotes are because a lot of people believe that, and they do feel that way, and life is difficult, and it is quote unquote unfair. And the cards are stacked against us in so many ways that we get older, our bodies break down. I mean, we do get symptomatic. We're going to inherit some things from our family that are not very attractive. And then we're going to find our own Mishigassen along the way, soul pieces, whatever you want to call them, along the way. And life can be difficult, but I think that means love would have us make it as less difficult as possible, or put as much grace or peace or dignity into the process as possible.
Absolutely.
There may not be that much wiggle room. You may not be able to put a lot of grace into a process, or a lot of dignity, or a lot of peace, or a lot of breath into a process. But how much do you need for there to be improvement, right? I mean, never underestimate the power of a subtle shift. Even if that's all I can do is make a subtle shift. Isn't that better than making no shift at all?
But when you think about it, a subtle shift can change the whole world.
It does, actually.
When they talk about butterfly wings, being felt, well, if you make a tiny shift, you never know how many generations that shift is going to reach.
Mm-hmm.
You can say something like things that you have said to me that I have shared with people, that I hear them sharing with other people.
I do love that.
And yeah.
I do love that. Well, this is why I actually do create so many quote unquote psychotechnologies and concepts, because it's a container. And when people use that container, they get the gift. It's like lightning in a bottle. Once you can put a word to something, and then someone uses that word, they're using that tool, and they're getting that energy, and they're getting that neuroassociation. They're getting that support all over again. So, of course, that's why I keep coming up with successions and sanctification and guardianology and catalyst and forward healing and thrivapeutics. And because these containers are neurological nutrition. They're resources. And so why not?
If you never created another thing, I can work with your concepts for the rest of my life and never run out of things to focus on.
Wow. That's one of those from your mouth to God's ears.
It's true.
I feel that it's true for you. It's just one of those that's very, very, very difficult for me to receive, but I recognize that the work is awesome. I recognize that, it's like if you're a parent and you have babies and you watch your kids, you're like, these kids are pretty darn good. They're not you, but they came through you.
Yeah.
And there's a deep pride. And the work that I've been able to birth, because I'm a creative, so I put names on these psychotechnologies, but it does help. I believe it's a really nice addition to the wellness revolution, because if I don't create these things and name them what I name them to be solution focused, who's going to do that? Would there be would somebody else come up with guardianology if I didn't? Somebody else, you know what I'm saying? Would somebody else come up with the term thrivapeutics if I didn't? Maybe, but we'll never know. But I'm going to guess not. And I think that that's why I must do this, so that people can go, oh, thrivapeutics. Oh, that's just his, so I'm going to leave that alone. Well, you can do that. You can leave it alone and sweep it under the table. Or you can use it, in which case you get all the benefit that's encoded, all the resonance and the energy and the influence from using it. I mean, that's some rich stuff there, I
think that what you have done is that you have taken concepts and ideas that have maybe been at the back of somebody's mind, but they had no way to express it. They had feelings like that, but until you created the process, they couldn't really grab onto it. I feel that way about some of the things many of the things. Like, why? I knew that. Didn't I know that? But it took you and how you express it to give it life in me.
Oh, thank you for that. And I think the new life, because it's, even if it's renewed, you know what I'm saying? Because when you do something and you kind of put some new words or new labels on it, there is a renewed element.
Renewed, maybe, but never formulated. It was never really formulated. When you say it, it becomes a truth.
Hmm.
So, guardianology and successions and forward healing and therapeutics, they live when you present them.
Well, Bonnie Salamon.
Well, Michael Sameka, as always, it's been a joy and a delight and has made my day better.
Aw, you knew I was going to say goodbye. Thank you. You felt it. Oh my gosh, what a great ending. Thank you for this.
My pleasure.
Till next time.
Okay.